Good news! Good news! Good news? Welcome back to NikkoVenture. In one of my previous videos, we talked about the Specified Skilled Worker Program, or in Japanese, Tokutei Gino Seido, commonly known as the SSW visa. We defined the SSW visa. We also discussed its two types, Type 1 and Type 2. Yes, very imaginative. And of course, we also talked a bit about the qualifications and salary. But perhaps the most important thing we discussed in that video is the proposed change planned by the Japanese government for the SSW Type 2. You see, there are many differences between these types of visas. Most notable is that while the SSW Type 1 has a 5-year limit, the SSW Type 2 doesn't have that limit, which means with an SSW Type 2 visa, a foreign national can work and live here in Japan indefinitely. Furthermore, you can bring your family here in Japan only if you have an SSW Type 2 visa. So it is not surprising that many foreign nationals here in Japan with an SSW Type 1 visa are willing to transition to the SSW Type 2 visa for an opportunity to live and work here in Japan with their families forever. But here's the problem. Currently, the SSW Type 2 visa only accepts workers from two specific industries, namely construction and shipbuilding industries. So, if your target industry is neither construction nor shipbuilding, you cannot transition into the SSW Type 2 visa. For example, if you're in the agriculture or food service industries, you cannot transition to the SSW Type 2 visa. Aside from that, even if your industry is construction or shipbuilding, applicants for transitioning into the SSW Type 2 visa have to pass the required sets of examinations as well. As a matter of fact, as of the end of March 2023, there are only 11 people who are registered as SSW Type 2 visa holders. In contrast, there are around 150,000 foreign nationals registered as SSW Type 1 visa holders. That huge difference in numbers shows how difficult and restrictive it is to transition to the SSW Type 2 visa. An applicant really have to pass through the eye of a needle. But that will seem to be a thing of the past very soon. Because as of late April 2023, the Japanese government proposed to add 9 industries to the SSW Type 2 visa, which will make the total number of eligible industries for the SSW Type 2 11. So even if your industry is neither construction nor shipbuilding, as long as it is included in the additional 9 industries, you will now have a chance to transition to the SSW Type 2 visa and be closer to your dream of working and living here in Japan with your family forever. Needless to say, if this proposal is approved, a lot of SSW Type 1 visa holders will now have a huge chance to transition to the SSW Type 2. I also mentioned in that video that the approval or rejection of such proposal will be made known to the public in June 2023. This is only a proposition. Talks are still underway to have this proposition approved as early as June this year. So let's wait until June. And guess what? It's already June.
It's the mind-boggling iPod.
As of June 9, 2023, several Japanese news outlets published an article that states that the Japanese government approved the proposed plan to add 9 more industries to the SSW Type 2 visa. The 9 industries that will be added under the SSW Type 2 visa are building cleaning management, industrial machinery manufacturing, automobile maintenance, aviation, agriculture, fisheries, food and beverages manufacturing, food service, and lodging. According to these news articles, the Japanese government will start the industry-specific examinations required to transition to the SSW Type 2 visa as early as this year's fall, or Aki. That's around late September or early October this year. So if you really want to earn the privilege to live and work here in Japan indefinitely with your families, start studying as early as now. This is a piece of really good news not only for those people who are already here in Japan, but also for those people who are planning to work and live here in Japan with their families forever. As a person who can live and work here in Japan indefinitely, I saw firsthand how the lives of foreign nationals were changed just by working in this country. Well, Japan is not for everyone, obviously, but it is a fact that one can earn more in the land of the rising sun than in one's home country. It's just that Japan is really selective, very restrictive in their system of accepting foreign nationals, even though they're the ones who badly needs those foreign nationals. However, despite the huge change for the SSW Type 2 visa, we all need to consider that even though the number of eligible industries will be increased from 2 to 11, nothing else will change. Do you know why as of March this year, there are only 11 people who are registered under the SSW Type 2 visa? It's not only because the Type 2 visa only accepts construction and shipbuilding workers. No, it might also be because of the fact that transitioning from SSW Type 1 to SSW Type 2 is undeniably difficult. As I mentioned earlier, aside from certain conditions you need to meet, there will also be examinations. Japanese examinations written in kanji that you need to pass to transition to the SSW Type 2 visa. Those examinations were already difficult before the expansion of the SSW Type 2 visa, and needless to say, it will still be difficult even after expanding the coverage of SSW Type 2 visa. Yes, this change or expansion of the SSW Type 2 visa will definitely open more doors of opportunities for those who are not construction workers nor shipbuilders to live and work here in Japan indefinitely. But that's it. No more, no less. This change doesn't mean it will now be easier to transition from SSW Type 1 to SSW Type 2. No, it will still be difficult. This change doesn't mean you will have a lesser workload than an SSW Type 1 visa holder. No, there's a possibility that by becoming SSW Type 2 visa holder, your workload will increase. And perhaps the most important thing is that this change will not guarantee a higher salary. No. Even after going through those hardships just to transition to SSW Type 2 visa, there is a huge possibility that your salary will still be the same. On the bright side though, becoming an SSW Type 2 visa holder will enable you to live and work here in Japan with your families forever. So yeah, there's that. So, that's the latest update for the Specified Skilled Worker Program, or commonly known as SSW visa. I really do hope you learned something new today. How about you though? What are your thoughts about this huge change for the SSW Type 2 visa? Please leave a comment down below. Please don't forget to like and share this video with an interested friend. And of course, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really means a lot to me. Thank you so much for your time watching this video. See you in the next one. Babush!